Oscar Bevis for the Stomping Ground, available on DAZN. I finally made it into a Riyadh season sprinter. This is the highlight of my interviewing career. Napa, I really appreciate your time. I know it's obviously a hectic week.
Yeah.
But yeah, first off, how are we?
Very good. Been in Dubai with Chris while he's been in camp, and I've been in Dubai for like 2-3 months. I was travelling a lot, and then I had to get a new passport, so that took a while. So couldn't travel for a bit. Missed the press conference, but yeah, back on the road, back in the UK. Can't wait for Saturday.
Bit of annoying admin to do, but we're here ready for a big week. I want to say congratulations on the new release with Lethal Bizzle. No lie to the viewers, by the way. Someone just run past you in the station and went, Napa, tune's hard. You ain't?
Yes.
Yeah, I just wonder if that was a name because that was in the Instagram post.
Yeah.
So you're not just managing one of the most famous fighters in the world and bench pressing 300 kg. There's a musical talent in there as well, as we know before. But yeah, new release.
Yeah, I mean, obviously after the incident I had with Billy, I went to Saudi to watch the Canelo fight with Lethal, and then he just was putting the idea into my head that let's do something with what you said, like, you know, I guarantee you ain't gonna get inside. And then we're going back and forth about it for a while, and then he sent me the beat, and I was like, yeah, this is hard. So then we just ran with it.
Yeah. How do you look back on the, what should I call it, mini back? It's not really a back and forth because it was quite short, but how do you look back on that verbal scuffle with Billy Joe?
It was what it was. He's just an idiot. Yeah.
I just said this to you. There's so many narratives, and I guess that's what the best thing is about the Eubank Ben rivalry, right? We had it with the dads, thought there'd be a line drawn under it. Of course, their sons end up fighting, which is manic in itself. You got Senior, Ambulance Gate, Billy Joe on the night, the weight. Do you sometimes just think, I wish the narratives weren't there and we could just kind of get to business on Saturday?
No, the narratives makes it what it is. It makes the event bigger. It keeps everyone talking. Keeps the barbershop argument spicy. It's all good. It's great.
Big win for Chris in the life column before we talk about boxing. Twins on the way. Mate, that clip of him and Senior was brilliant. Rastafari reach. I'm not sure what the reach means. But big win for Chris in the life column before. It's all about boxing this week.
Yes, you know, twins is a blessing. 2 boys. So can't wait to train them in the future. Take them to the gym.
Conor did say earlier, we're drawing a line here, by the way.
Yeah.
We're not having another Eubank Ben. Could you see yourself managing a Eubank and Hearn promoting a Ben in 25 years' time?
I don't know. Chris already said he wouldn't want them to be boxers. But listen, Senior didn't want Junior to be a boxer, and he ended up fighting. So, you know, I'm sure the kids are gonna have minds of their own when they grow up, and let's see what they say. But I don't think it's a narrative that Junior or Conor's trying to push. No.
How is he now? I know it's early on in the fight week, but how is he now? We're on the Tuesday of fight week. This will go out Wednesday morning. But how is he now in comparison to April? Different or kind of similar? Because I guess it's only really just bubbling this week.
He's had a bit of a better camp. Actually, no, he's had a better camp for sure. He's in good spirits. He's ready to rock and roll. He knows what he's up against. Well, obviously Conor knows what he's up against as well, you know. And you've seen how he dealt with the rematch last time with Liam. So he knows what he needs to do to get the victory the way he wants to get it this time.
Do you think Conor's a bit more jovial this time?
A little bit, but I don't know. I think he's at his best when he's the little ferocious little pit bull, but if he thinks he wants to be calm and collected and stuff, and he thinks that's good for him, then we'll see. I'm sure if it's not working, it just revert to type.
It's funny because everyone wants people to beef, and then when they beef, it's like, I love a sign of respect at the end of it. Chris said on the DAZN broadcast today, he said, there's a respect now, and that respect stops eggs being thrown at people. Does that make this different? The fact that Chris respects him, be it as a person, be it as just for going 12 rounds. Does that make this different now that there is that respect there?
He respects him as a fighter, but he's focused and locked in on getting this job done in fashion. But he respects Conor as a fighter. They had a grueling fight. He made Chris had to dig deep to get the win. So for that, yeah, he respects him for sure.
Do you think they'll be friends after all is said and done?
I don't think so. He don't hate him. I know that Chris don't hate Conor, but I don't. Listen, you never know. I guess I didn't think Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren would be friends, but
Fortune Groves.
yeah. So you never know, but I wouldn't put my money on it. But you never know.
I mean, they're two very different personalities. Do you think Chris just can't forgive what happened in 2022? Is that part of the? I mean, I know that's a big part of the original hatred, but is that something that he won't ever be able to slide? Do you think?
He wants Conor to admit he cheated, and Conor's not admitting. That's where the whole that's where it all started from. That's what Chris, he drew the picture of a syringe yesterday when Ring Magazine asked him to draw a picture of Conor. He feels the same way, and you can't blame him, man. The guy. If you're gonna fight someone and you find out someone tried to use drugs to get an advantage, you're never gonna be okay with the fact. And I understand Conor, if he's saying he didn't do anything, he'll feel a certain way. So until there's some sort of truth, I don't think that we're gonna get a resolution. They're never gonna see eye to eye on that.
Time and money, maybe a healer. A lot of money.
Maybe. In 50 years' time, Conor Benn might be like, you know what, yeah, I did. Like I see the Chinese or Asian fighter give Roy Jones the gold medal. Like recently, like later on, he goes, yeah, actually, yeah, you beat me, you deserve the medal. So we don't know. Maybe in the future he might admit it. But, I've seen so much crazy shit in boxing nowadays that I don't think anything can happen that will surprise me.
I was going to say, is there anything, like what even would surprise you at this point?
Man, if they tag the dads mid-fight, tagging Senior and Nigel.
Nigel Senior.
Ben's ain't won one fight yet against the Eubank, so you got to run with the Eubanks for sure. But I rate Nigel Benn as a fighter.
How much do you think that eats up the Benn family? I know Nigel said earlier he was like, it's a blessing that Chris has been in my life, and we know the mutual respect between them two. We know that. But do you think it really does, when all is said and done? I know the money's been earned and they can have career successes, whatever. Do you think it really does eat away at the Benn family?
It has to. It's a major rivalry with the two families. There's been 3 fights. They haven't won one yet. So I'm sure they want at least one victory. They don't want the story to end that they never got a win over the Eubanks. But unfortunately, that's how it's going to go.
Right, well, I spoke about narratives. One that's been quite big is Ambulance Gate.
Yeah.
Look, if I can just ask you straight off the bat, if I ask you now, were Eddie Hearn and Matchroom stopping the ambulance from leaving Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, what would be your response?
They weren't physically stopping the ambulance, no, but in the video that that Chris put out there, you can hear me effing and blinding, asking them to open the gate. Someone's not opening the gate, so it just needs, someone needs to explain to us in detail who was in charge of that, why was it not opening, and why it's not everyone mad about it. Like everyone part of that event should be fuming that this happened, because of the tragedies that do happen in boxing. The guy's dehydrated. He did the rehydration clause that you guys want him to do. He did it. Now he needs to rehydrate and get to the hospital. He was being delayed. So, everyone should be on side saying, yo, why did this happen? I don't think you can look at Chris and be like, why is he making a deal out of this? No, it was fucked up. Why does it take me and my other friends that were doing the security with me and the securities at the event and stuff to be like banging the door and shouting at people and swearing at people, like, open this fucking door, like, excuse my French. And they're not opening it. It's just like, this doesn't make no sense. We're in one of the newest stadiums in the Premier League. What's the problem? Why? We just want to know why. Someone explain why did that happen, because that's obviously it's not right, right? So someone's at fault. Who is at fault? That's all. That's what we want to know.
Obviously, seen the articles about the legal proceedings. I spoke to Frank Smith earlier, and not in too much detail on that side, but can you define legal proceedings for me? Because I know there'll be people at home like lawsuits or this will happen, apologies. What define legal proceedings in this matter for me?
The legal side of things, I want to stay away from that because I'm also a manager that works with Matchroom. I've got Troy Williamson with Matchroom and stuff, so I want to stay away from that. But at the end of the day, if Matchroom feel like it was not them, Chris feels like it was them, and he wants to, if not, who is it? So that's where they're at. So they're both going back and forth right now, trying to figure out, trying to come to some sort of resolution. But I feel like at the end of the day, Chris is just trying to shine some light on like this can happen. And let's avoid it. You know, this is Chris is a guy that's fought Nick Blackwell, and you know he hurt himself after the fight. So you know this can't be happening. That's all it is.
Do you think Chris would make a public apology?
What's there to apologise about?
If Eddie was, so Eddie thinks, look, you've told the world that this is me, and some people out there will go, we know that Eddie Hearn isn't standing in front of the ambulance and jamming the wheels, etc. But there will be people out there who think that this is Eddie Hearn's fault. If you look at the comments on Chris's post, that think this is Eddie Hearn's fault. If he asked Chris to make an apology, do you think Chris would ever just go, look, even just to say Eddie Hearn himself was not blocking the ambulance, do you think that's something Chris would
if we can come to a resolution on who was at fault, and if it was clear as day that it was not, it's made to Chris clear as day, it's not Matchroom, it was because of X, that's a whole different conversation. But we haven't come to that resolution yet, and
I mean, the British Boxing Board of Control and Chris Eubank is one of the fractured relationships.
It's a great relationship. What are you talking about?
What was it, 100,000 for the egg, the weight money, the sauna.
How much did Ezra get fined for hitting Billy Dennis with the egg?
Funny you should say that. I see a quote tweet pretty immediately after saying, is he going to get fined £100,000?
He didn't get fined, did he?
I'm not sure if he got fined, but of course, I'm then on certain he did not get fined £100,000.
Yeah.
Do you look at that then and think, actually, a bit of consistency? Not that you want to pull £100,000 from someone who isn't earning as much money as Chris, but consistency-wise, do you look at that and go, actually, it's not right?
Listen, Ezra's a young black brother that is trying to make a name for himself and do better, so I don't want to get the boy in trouble or anything, but I was just asking the question. You know, it's one rule for one person, another one for another. But listen, it made their last fight bigger. You know, if we be honest, they went super viral, and Chris said it was worth every penny. So it's not me paying; it didn't come out of what I get. So if he feels like it was worth every penny, it was worth every penny. But I think it was definitely way too much money. And then when he does pay all of that stuff, he wants to know what happens to the money, because when you've got people like Nick Blackwell coming, looks like, you know, he's struggling in life, or, you know, once, like, you know, like, so when you get this money, for these fines and stuff, how did this money get distributed and stuff? That's another thing that he was asking in the past that, again, no one's explained to him. So if the fines are so much, cool, but what's it going towards? You know?
I suppose everything's relative, but you could argue that should the fine be the same, or is it just because Chris is earning more money?
Yeah, obviously you can't. If a guy's fighting for 20 grand, you can't fine him 100k. So yeah, I guess it's relative to how much someone's earning. But cool, if you want to take that much money, how is it getting? Yeah. How are you using it? Are you buying a Range Rover, or are you
having a nice Christmas party?
Yeah, or are you putting it back into the sport and keeping boxing gyms open that are closing down, or
which is a big problem.
Yes.
So
yeah. So you know, that's what we'd like to know.
Talking about relationships, which is one thing that we love doing on here, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You and Eddie all cool?
Me and Eddie Hearn? Yeah, we're good. We want to beat Callum Simpson right now, so we're on the same page when it comes to that. Yeah.
On the same page on November the 2nd. 17th and onwards. Not on the same
Yeah.
page this week.
Yeah, this week is a up. This week is a up. Next week we're good.
You've always openly said, like, I like Eddie Hearn. You admire.
I've known him
Eddie
a
Hearn.
long time.
Yeah.
You know, I first got into boxing when Chris was really young, and I was working with Darren Hamilton. I was his strength and conditioning coach. This is 2012. So we're entering 2026, and we all went to the event together. So it's like I've known the guy for like 14 years, and we're good. I don't personally have a problem with him. No.
How's Eddie changed over those 14 years?
He's got a lot better at the interviews and at his job. He's probably the best at it at the moment. He's natural. You can tell that he doesn't do things scripted, isn't it? So yeah, he's good at his job. Gives me fights. Gives Rene fights. He's given Andrew Tabiti fights. He's given Troy Williamson fights. He's given Derek Osazi fights. I can't say I don't like this guy. How?
We'll just be getting a couple of evils this week. Talking of
I'm gonna
interviews,
barge him, make him barge his shoulder,
we'll
make
go
him drop.
flying.
Yeah.
Talking of interviews, how were you kind of? I don't want to use the word adapting. It's not like you haven't seen the camera. You've made music and you've been in that world. But do you enjoy the little bits on camera? Because being an integral part of the team with Chris Eubank Jr. I saw today when we was trying to organise this, how many people are like, Napa 2 minutes, Napa, can I do this?
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I couldn't do it. I want to.
Like enjoying kind of being on the camera and saying your piece, or just seeing it as something that's kind of part of the job you have to do?
Initially, I never wanted to do interviews. And Chris said to me, you should. I was like, you think so? And it's just like, yeah, I used to do interviews when I was doing music, but I was very different. I was fucking head to toe in Nike tracksuits with my hoodie on, and like probably like, you know, I was young and dumb. But yeah, now I've grown, older now, working in sports, managing fighters, representing fighters, trying to help people better their careers, and yeah, the camera comes natural. I've been Napa since 2002. You know, it's 2025 now. It's been a long time.
Do you feel like it's like a bit of a character? Because obviously it's very different to normal life.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure Eddie doesn't go home and kind of spout the salesman pitch when he's just around the house and talking to friends and eating dinner. And
No.
Do you feel like it's a bit of a character you got to play sometimes?
No, I be very much myself. I feel like maybe when I was doing music, no, it wasn't even a character then. That's just the young version of me, isn't it? I was 21, 22, 23. If I made money, the next day I'm going Foot Locker. Yeah, you know what I mean? That's like, you do a show, make money. Next day I want crepe. I want trackies. I want crepe. I want to go Trocadero.
You're blowing all the money.
Yeah, you just started spending it straight away. Straight away. Because in my head, I'm thinking I'm going to make more next week. Yeah, so. Yeah, that was my character then. This is my character now.
I was going to say make more money and get some good pictures in the new stuff for Instagram, but that would have been for MySpace,
yeah,
Bebo. So.
MySpace, Facebook after. Yeah.
The good old days. Right, Senior. I know there's a bit that he done with the Sun. I'm not sure if it's been released, where there was a panel with him, George Groves, Cole Froch and Harlem. But kind of word on the street was that unhappy again. Do you know where Senior sits with this and whether he'll be there on fight night? And
I know that Senior wanted Chris to retire and didn't want him to do the rematch, but he also didn't want him to fight him in the first place. And he also doesn't want him to campaign at 160 anymore. And listen, that is Chris's dad, so he's always gonna want the best for his son. That is a trait a father is supposed to have. So, you know, it would be weird if it's like, yes, I want my son to have a 170 rehydration clause and I want him to stay at 160 for as long as possible. No, he's going to say things that a father's supposed to say, which is, you know, in the best interest of his son. So when he says all of this stuff, you know, everyone else looks at Chris as the fighter. We want the entertainment. No, we want to watch the Conor Benn fight. We don't want to watch. You want to watch him fight Conor Benn. You want to watch him fight Callum Simpson or Hamza Shiraz or something like that. No, Conor Benn's the one that's filling that stadium. These are all arena fights. So if that's the case, Chris has got to fight 160 because the guy's claiming to be a welterweight. There's a rehydration and stuff. So that's for the entertainment of the fans. So the fans don't care, but the dad cares. The dad will rather he was at a bigger weight. So listen, Senior is he's a what's the word? He's a special human being, super intelligent, and he just wants the best for Junior. That's why he says what he says.
I mean, would it be? I say, would it be? I think it will be quite sad having the surprise that we got in the first fight of him being there for Chris on one of his biggest night in his career, to not be there for number 2. Would that be quite a sad sight? Because there will be pictures, I'm sure, that people put up where you can see Conor and Nigel, and in the peripheral distance, just Chris without Senior.
So what Senior said today, he's not coming?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I haven't said he isn't coming, but I know that him being unhappy, would it be? I mean, it would be a sad sight, right? Because there will be pictures where you can see Conor and Nigel on the night. Across the ring, you can only see Junior, not Senior. I mean, it would be sad having him there at 1 and not at 2, right?
Yeah, but fingers crossed he'll be there. I think he'll be there. Yeah. He loves his boy, so he'll be there.
How are we going to surprise people this time, though? Parachuting to Tottenham.
We've got something up our sleeves.
Yeah. Cannon.
We're going to bring out Tupac.
Is Chris ringwalking to your new song?
No.
Okay.
No, he's not going to ring to the sun because...
There's like, people have like 3 or 4 ringwalk songs nowadays, don't they?
Yeah.
Can't squeeze that in, surely.
Prince Nassim used to do like 15-minute ring walks. So maybe.
Live performance?
Maybe.
You
Who
legal
knows?
business?
Who knows? But the song wasn't made to be the ring walk for the fight with Conor Benn. The song was made because a very fat man made racist remarks about me, and I have not forgot. That's why.
Have you had any conversation with Billy or any of his friends or anyone
No.
since?
No one. Well, what, since the event? Me and Billy went back and forth a few times on Instagram, but no.
What would happen if Billy was to turn up on Saturday?
Well, the same shit that happened last time. Nothing else. Nothing. What? I ain't got beef with the guy, I just don't like the guy.
All right, Napa, I really appreciate your time. Just finally, what do those 2 give us in the ring? There's no point me asking you who's going to win, how he's going to win, because I know you're going to say Chris Eubank Jr. any way possible. But just what sort of fight do those 2 give us after 12 of the best rounds that we've seen? Do we just click back into round 13 and get some of the best entertainment possible?
You'll see a more calculated and ferocious version of Chris. That's for sure. Bowmax back.